me to welcome our first speaker, Eric C. from Florence, Arizona.
Slow claps. My name is Eric. I'm an addict. I'm a little upset because my sponsor told me that he would sit in the front row in his boxers to make me feel comfortable. And he's not in the front row, and I think he's wearing pants, so I guess the topic is for the newcomers. Didn't see anyone stand up in their first 30 days. We have one person? Awesome. Do we have anyone in their first year? Oh. 3. We got 3 peeps. Okay. All right. So where do I start, man? First and foremost, I like to point out that, like, when I first came here, and actually, how long do I have to speak?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay. When I first got here, when I first thought of Narcotics Anonymous as a place to gain recovery and stuff. I didn't know if it would work. There's a lot of in and out, and I'll kind of jump around about that. But the biggest thing that came across my mind is I didn't think staying clean was something that was in my cards. I didn't think it was something that I could do, because when I came through the first door, first exposure to NA, I didn't feel a part of it at all. I remember just being so nervous and anxious, and coming through that door and sitting right by the door, and I remember someone stuffed literature in my hand, and I was just like, oh my God, what do I do? I knew what I had to do because I've been online meetings before, and I was talking, I was really forward online, but here I am face to face, and I was physically dependent, so I was sick, and I was sitting there, and all these people are talking, and I started looking out in the crowd and seeing all the differences from me, right? Like right away, I remember sitting down, and I'll just be blunt. I saw this black dude who looked like he sold dope. He was covered in gold jewelry. He had a jersey on, Jordans, and he was talking to this skinny hillbilly chick when she didn't have any teeth, and she looked like a straight hick, right? And they're having a conversation, and they're getting along great, and I'm like, what the F is going on here? This is not anything I've ever seen before, right? Straight up, nothing I've ever seen before. So I'm sitting there, and I'm focused on them, and they're just having a great conversation, and everyone in the room was happy. Right, but me, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm a wreck, man. I'm a wreck. And my exposure to NA was, this isn't something that I could do. Now, needless to say, I had many years using and trying to stay clean by myself, and coming in and out, and still those differences were there. That these people are happy, they can do it. They've got this gene that I don't have of getting clean. I'm an addict. We use dope on the streets. We don't get clean. We cause chaos, end up in jail. Our family members throw us out. We pawn your stuff. You know what I mean? This is what we do. We have nothing to do with the Narcotics Anonymous people. It's two separate people. And that's how I felt, right? And I spent many years coming in the rooms not feeling a part of, because I struggled with inadequacy my whole entire life. I spent my whole childhood not feeling like I was a part of, constantly feeling like the class clown, and speaking out loud, and causing problems in school, just because I was trying to fit in, So when I came to NA, it was really hard for me to ever think that this could possibly be something that's going to work for me. Now, I want to shatter a myth or a statement, and if you don't agree with it, you can argue or fight me in the hallway afterwards. It's cool. I believe relapse is a part of anyone's story. When people say relapse isn't part of my story, I don't believe that. Because I wouldn't have come to NA if relapse wasn't a part of my story. Because I couldn't stay clean by myself. And I don't think anyone in Narcotics Anonymous can stay clean by themselves. They come here because you relapse. So if you're habitual in and outer, relapser every couple of years, just know that, man, I was too. I just happened to have not relapsed anytime soon. And that's a big freaking step in my life. So a little bit about my past. I was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska. Middle class home. I had a lot of friends. I was taken care of. There wasn't disturbances in the household. I did okay in school. When I applied myself, I did well, but I was an outcast. You know what I mean? So I was constantly causing issues, constantly getting kicked out, and using drugs and alcohol was something we started as to be outcasts. We started it just to rebel, right? the like kicking in of needing and finding means to get more hasn't really excelled yet until like my later years. But I started in Alaska and everything was fine. I just knew that, like, obviously that I wasn't freaking normal. I'm trying not to cuss here. That's my new thing. But I knew I wasn't normal. You know what I mean? So not being normal and feeling inadequate is a huge part of me coming to Narcotics Anonymous and not understanding how this stuff goes. Not understanding when someone says, stay till the miracle happens, and I'm just like dying. I'm upset. I can't stay clean. They say, stay till the miracle happens, and I'm like, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna start? Because I didn't have much left. I don't know how I made it this far. I never planned to stay clean this far. I never thought I'd make it to this age. In fact, I knew at the point in my using that when I finally took the geographical change to come to Arizona, that the drugs down here were a lot cheaper and a lot stronger, and I was ready. I was ready for that. You know what I mean? So when I came down here and thought I'd give Narcotics Anonymous another shot, live in the flesh, I'm back. Moved down here, had a shiny motorcycle, going to meetings. I knew if stuff was going to hit the fan, that I was going to hit the streets and I was going to start to have a good time. Because I wasn't having a good time being clean. I wasn't happy. My relationships with people weren't, I'd say, eye to eye. You know what I mean? Like, I can look at you and we can have a conversation and I can be here and present. That was not something that I could do. And I struggle from ADHD, and I have this problem with, like, in my relationships still, that sometimes it's difficult for me to be present. But, being in my active addiction, I just couldn't be present for anything. And I still struggle today being on time and being responsible and showing up to places where I say I'm going to go. I still struggle with these things. But when I was in active addiction, it was like, oh, pick a card, If you pick the ace of spades, I'm going to show up. That's how it was, So relationships already, I was failures. Didn't have any successful sexual romantic relationships. It was all pretty bad. Friendships came and gone. I'm an addict. This is the normal stuff for us addicts, right? So when I came down to Arizona, I was here for all the reasons that wasn't my own reasons to be clean, right? I had already been trying to clean up the chaos and lose it all again, and then clean up the chaos and lose it all again. Like that was my natural living thing. And in fact, I was pretty damn good at, one day sweeping the street, the next day freaking having a firework party. You know what I mean? That was my normal thing. And you know what? When I look back and I really break it down to like what I went through when I cleaned up like chaos every freaking time, geez, the willingness I had to do that, right? The willingness that I forgot that I had when I came through the door and I didn't know what to do, or I didn't know how to reach out and have a conversation and say, I need some help from someone, right? But I had that willingness to clean up all that crap, and we know how much crap that is. That's some serious stuff, man. Serious stuff, doing that stuff to please our family members. But why? We didn't really have relationships anyways. So it's just kind of a conundrum in my head that I kind of think when I think of, like, my early teens and childhood, of all these dilemmas that I created. But so I came to Narcotics Anonymous in Arizona after being in and out of just trying to be clean. Went to many detoxes. So it's part of my story I don't really bring up, but my sponsor has this thing about how he says that when he got clean, that he thought it was and I'm using a story, that it's like a car wash, that you go in dirty as hell and you come out clean, ready to go. And that's kind of what happened when I went to detox. I would come there, I'd clean up my wreckage for a few days in there, and I'd call my family, okay, I'm clean. And they're like, great, we don't trust you. And I would be like, why? I don't understand, And I'd go back, oh, God damn it, what am I use now? I'm going to show them. Yeah. So that's what I did, man. I went to meetings, and you know what? I never was getting clean for myself. You know what I mean? And I wasn't able to communicate with people. I showed up, you know what I mean? Yeah, I couldn't sit through a speaker meeting. I hated speaker meetings. I couldn't sit down with old timers and have conversations and ask them how they do it. I couldn't do it. I was attracted to the young people, newcomers. I went to the young people, newcomer meetings, and like that's what I was attracted to. I was attracted to the women and trying to create the things in my life that made me feel adequate in recovery, that made me a part of. Because people, when they got clean, they accumulated vehicles and a job, these toys and things. So I was more focused on getting those things than I was focused on doing any damn step work or any recovery whatsoever. You know what I mean? So, it's really no surprise that I didn't stay clean, that it wasn't working, and I was asking myself, why isn't it working? And I was calling my sponsor at 3 a.m. crying because I was sick. And I didn't know. And he suggested things, and I'd try them for a hot minute, and I'd be on that newcomer pink cloud, and I'd be all happy, you know what I mean? And then next time, oh, girl, you know what I mean? And it's just, I'm off from this path to that path. Just like this, just in a second, right? As soon as I stopped feeling upset, you know what I mean, and started feeling good, I could do it on my own. This happened again and again. I couldn't get a year clean. And I didn't know why, because I was going to meetings. I had a sponsor. I was doing these things, but I couldn't stay clean. I didn't know why. So I kept using. I kept coming back. And then my sponsor said, you should probably do this. And one of them was, you probably shouldn't be in a relationship. You're not good at relationships. I got in a relationship. And somehow, I managed to get a year clean. I had a lot of things at that year clean. A lot of things. And this was like my first real clean time. She broke up with me and I used. And I went out for a couple years. And then going out, I got in another unhealthy relationship. And then I got sentenced to a couple years of incarceration. Then I came back to Narcotics Anonymous again. But at that time, the pain was so strong. I didn't have anything to really bring to the table to mask me, who I was. And I came, they took me in, and they knew I was full of shit. I couldn't bring that full of shit face to the meeting. They knew it, right? But I knew it was either these guys or these guys. These guys didn't play nice, and these guys didn't stay clean. So I hung out with these guys. And I asked them how to live. And my morals changed, Things changed. I got released. I managed to stay clean. And what it comes down to is, I asked myself this because I was just we were all curious, why didn't I get clean sooner? Why can't this person get clean? If only they did this, if only they did that, they'll stay clean. And it's just man, I like to say that we are, we are spiritual warriors. We're fighting mental wars. Being an addict, you're fighting mental wars. And sometimes you got to give yourself props for that. Because normal people don't have to go through the crap that we do. Especially when we get clean. And we're coming in and out of that room. And we're afraid. But we come anyways. And that willingness to walk through the door that time after a relapse, or that first time when we don't know anyone, and all we can think of is the differences, because we're trying to save face right there. We're trying to say, hey, I don't feel good. I don't want to be here. Give me some justification to not be here. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Wish there's a lot more newcomers here, but that's okay. That's okay. But anyone that's sitting here should know what it's like to come to that door and just feel that. And feel the pain that you brought with you from your life, and not feel like it fits here. But I want to kind of get in what saved my ass. Is the people you guys did. I finally got sick and tired of trying to fight this by myself, because that's what I was doing my whole life, man. I might have been with him or her, this group getting loaded and stuff, but they weren't there for me. They weren't there for me at night when I was in pain, upset, mentally in pain, wondering why I do the things I do. I hurt the people I hurt. I steal from the people I steal that love me. Why do I do this? I don't understand. Those people don't understand that stuff. Only people in my entire life that understand what's going on are in these rooms. And being able to relate and finally having a real conversation with some peeps, and finding out that I'm not alone. But that's not what's kept me clean, That was a part of it, That was the big stigma between me habitually relapsing and not relapsing. That's finally being a part of. And getting over the whole deal that if I go through some crap, I can pick up my phone and call someone. And I do. I wish Tommy C was here because a little story about Tommy C. A while ago, a couple years ago, I was going through a lot of freaking pain, and I was really upset. I had this huge like fracture tooth thing that had happened when I was incarcerated, and it was like pushing into a nerve. And I went to a meeting, and Tommy C, and I've met him a couple times. And I sat there and I shared about it. And I can't paraphrase or quote word for word about what he said, but he basically was talking about, hey man, we can talk about doing things. We can talk about doing things, but if we don't do them, we're not living spiritual principles. He said this, Tommy C, really cares about it. But it's okay. I was in so much pain. I didn't think it was being smart. I was like, oh, you know what? Yes. So I got in my car, and I was in Tucson for a wedding, and I drive, and I'm headed to the hospital. I know they're going to give me medications, and I'm freaking the fuck out. Excuse my language. Damn it. It happened. Sorry, Jay. So I'm calling my sponsor, and I'm beating my dashboard in my car. And I was a mess, you know what I mean? But, I put his number in my phone. And not too long ago, I was going through something, and I gave him a call, just randomly, you know what I mean? And it's just that stuck with me. And why I want to bring that up is because we meet these people in these rooms, and we connect, and in a moment's notice, we can reach out to them, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't have thought in 2 years I would call Tommy C from left field, with some heavy stuff because we're not really close. But I did, because it came to that moment where I was going down that phone list and I was calling people because I had to hear the voice of an addict because I was afraid I was going to use, And I got a hold of someone, and I didn't use, I didn't use. But he would probably laugh to hear that. So, so anyways, moving forward, a lot of things has happened in the past 5 years of my recovery, good and bad. I'm trying not to get emotional, but I'll never forget where I came from when I came through this door. I didn't have the ability to really show my emotion when I came through the door. I was a mess. I shaked in my seat. I was just, you know what I mean? And I thought all night, and now it's just after the years, my emotions just pour out. And I'm cool with that, you know what I mean? Because that's a gift. That's a gift you get in recovery, So anyways, so moving forward, the relationships and people that I have in my life today are incomparable to anything I have in my life. They are my prized possessions. They are not the flashy car that I had in my life when I was a newcomer. They are my tools. They are everything to me. Without the people in the rooms, I wouldn't be clean, plain and simple, And I'm a person that is not very good in huge groups. I never have been, you know what I mean? I always kind of built my own little crew of people, and when I couldn't tolerate certain things, I changed it. I cut relationships out, right? I'm powerless now. I'm powerless over the people that are in my lives, good and bad. You have to get along with the people in the rooms no matter what. They create chaos in your lives. You got to deal with it. You know what I mean? You just got to work through it. And then that's what I face today. So I get anxious. A lot of things happen today. I had my first panic attack in my entire life at ARCNA. So trying to fluctuate what I'm feeling these days is kind of difficult. But I'm moving forward, and I'm moving forward with you, So kind of want to backpace a little bit about, learning a new life as a newcomer. And, you already know the story. If you're clean and you've been here a while and you're not white-knuckling angry in the corner, then you already know that you took suggestions from people, that you did what they did, because that's what I did. I could sit here and tell your story, and you already know. I went to meetings, got a sponsor, became a part of, showed up. I showed up. That's what I did. And I'm here, and I get to talk about it. And I never would have thought I would be at a convention or so many speakers in my entire life, because that's where I didn't want to be. Because sitting still in a meeting was something I couldn't do. And we still have problems doing it, but we can do it anyways. You know what I mean? And we meet these people in these rooms, and we want to hear them talk. And we look forward to it, and we wait months or a year to hear them talk. And then we talk to them afterwards and say, hey, man, I've been waiting to hear you talk since I met you, finally. And you know what? You stay here long enough, you're going to hear everyone talk. I guess this is my turn at the convention. I guess that's where I'm at. So I'd say if you're new, but there's a few of you. If you're new, just keep coming. If you have a problem with that, do it in spite of the person that says it. Show them. You know what I mean? Keep doing it, because that's all I really had was keep coming backs. You know what I mean? I just kept coming in spite of them, And I didn't understand. Stay till the miracle happens. I didn't understand that. I think something I forgot to address is like my spirituality. And I'll get into that real quick since I have about 5 minutes. I've never been a spiritual person in my entire life. I never have been. In fact, I'm just going to throw out some awesomeness from the world. My ex-grant sponsor, which actually relapsed, I'll report that. So when I came back and I got a sponsor, my sponsor's higher power was the program of Narcotics Anonymous. So I like to borrow that as my higher power. His sponsor is a Caucasian man, and his spiritual higher power is like Native American traditions. So I just wanted to kind of like grasp that when I came back and I saw this like vastness of people's higher powers and still not knowing what mine is really like made me feel at home, So I've used the Narcotics Anonymous one for a while, and sometimes I there's evidence of other ones in my life, and I see that. But I just wanted to point out that when I came here, like God was not on my side. In my mind, God was someone I prayed to in the back of the cop car, or when I called my mom or dad and wanted them to send me a MoneyGram because I'm sitting on the side of the road with nothing and I'm sick and I got crap. You know what I mean? That's when but God hasn't really I don't feel like in my life today has really spoken out, and I'm not my identity of this higher power in my life isn't an easy thing for me. You know what I mean? But I'm still here, and I'm still clean. And regardless of what your higher power is, or if you have one, if you believe or not, it doesn't freaking matter. That's the one thing that made me feel at home, is having the wide vastness that we have here, in our fellowship. So, with that being said, thank you very much for coming to the convention. I hope to see you at many season acts to come. Thank you.